Disaster Diaries presents an analysis of the Costa Concordia disaster. Hello everybody, my name is Namith and welcome to Disaster Diaries, where we explore all kinds of disasters, physical and financial. This is my first video on the Costa Concordia disaster, so let's get on with it. Introduction. The Costa Concordia was a cruise ship operated by Costa Concordia when the 137 gross tonnage of GT Costa Concordia and her sister ships entered service. They were among the largest ships built in Italy. On 13th January 2012 at 12:45, Costa Concordia struck a rock in the Tyrrhenian Sea just off the eastern shore of Isola del Giglio. This tore open a 50-meter or 160 feet gash on the port side of her hull, which soon flooded parts of the engine room, cutting power from the engines and ship's houses. As water flooded in and the ship listed, she drifted back towards the island and grounded near shore, then rolled onto her starboard side, lying in an unsteady position on a rocky underwater ledge. The evacuation of Costa Concordia took over 6 hours, and of the 3,221 passengers and 1,023 crew known to have been aboard, 32 died. Francesco Schettino, ship's captain at that time, was subsequently found guilty of manslaughter, causing a maritime accident, and abandoning his ship. The wreck was salvaged 3 years after the incident and then towed to the port of Genoa, where scrapping operations began and ended. History. Costa Concordia was ordered in 2004 by Carnival Corporation from Fincantieri and built in the Sestri Ponente yard in Genoa. She was outfitted with approximately 1,500 cabins, 505 with private balconies, and 55 with direct access to the Samsara Spa, which were considered spa staterooms. 58 suites had private balconies, and 12 had direct access to the spa. Costa Concordia had one of the world's largest exercise facility areas at sea, the Samsara Spa, a 2-level, 6,000 meters square, 64,600 square feet fitness center, with a gym, a thalassotherapy pool, sauna, Turkish bath, and a solarium. The ship had 4 swimming pools, 2 with retractable roofs, 5 jacuzzis, 5 spas, and a poolside movie theater on the main pool deck. There were also 5 onboard restaurants, with Club Concordia and Samsara taking reservations-only dining. There were 13 bars, including a cigar and cognac bar, and a coffee and chocolate bar. Enhancement options included a 3-level theater, casino, a futuristic disco, children's area equipped with video games, and a basketball court. She also had a Grand Prix motor racing simulator and an internet cafe. And that's quite a lot. Now, have a look at the interiors of the ship, will ya? Quite a bit of flashiness, eh? Before the accident. On 13th January 2012, under the command of Captain Francesco Schettino, Costa Concordia departed Civitavecchia, the port for Rome, Italy, on a 7-night cruise with 3,206 passengers and 1,023 crew members on board. The port side of the ship struck a reef at 21:42. The reef is charted as an area known as Lisco, which about 800 meters south to the entrance of the harbour of Giglio Porto on the island's east coast. The accident. The point of initial impact was 8 meters or 26 feet below water at the Scola Piccola, the most seaward exposed rock of Lisco, which tore a 50-meter 160 feet gash in the ship's port side below the waterline. The impact sheared 2 long strips of steel from the ship's hull. These were later found on the seabed 92 to 96 meters or 302 to 315 feet from the main island. A few minutes later after the impact, the head of the engine room warned the captain that the hull had an irreparable tear of 70 meters or 250 feet, through which water entered and submerged the generators and engines. Here, just look at these humans and look at the scale of this huge rock. It's practically broken through the hull. Huge rock, isn't it? Without propulsive power and on emergency electric power, the ship moved through inertia and the settings of its rudders and continued north from Lescaut until well past Giglio Porto. At 12:10, Costa Concordia turned south. The vessel was then listing to starboard, initially by about 20 degrees, coming to rest by 22:44 at Ponta del Gabbianara in about 20 meters of water at an angle of heel of about 70 degrees. The point of initial impact was 8 meters or 26 feet below water at the Scola Piccola, the most seaward exposed rock of Lescaut, which tore a 50-meter or 160 feet gash in the ship's port side below the waterline. The impact sheared 2 long strips of steel from the ship's hull. These were later found on the seabed 92 to 96 meters away from the island. Situation on the bridge. Schettino said that before approaching the island, he turned off the alarm system for the ship's computer navigation system. He told investigators that he saw waves breaking on the reef and turned abruptly, swinging the side of the hull into the reef. The captain said that Costa Cruises managers told him to perform a sail-past salute on 13th January 2012. Now, sail-past salute happens when the ship is deliberately taken closer to land, if any. It is done as a nod to fellow sailors and to give guests on board the ship an incredible view of the land. And this isn't a new move for cruise ships, and neither was it for the Costa Concordia, that had done it several times. Costa Cruises confirmed that the course taken in 2012 was not a defined or computer-programmed route for passing Giglio. On this map, we can see that the previous cruise of Costa Concordia in this area was held in 14th Jan 2011, where it goes near the crash site but escapes unscathed. The next one, the Yellow Line, on 6th Jan 2012, avoids the area altogether. And then the Route of Disaster on 13th Jan 2012. What's supposed to happen was that it was supposed to go a bit like this, where my mouse pointer is going, something a bit like this. But then Captain Schettino had a miscommunication with the with the crew on the helm, and well, they made a really bad decision and turned the ship way more than it was supposed to turn, which is why it crashed. Situation on deck. Passengers were in the dining room when there was a sudden loud bang, which a crew member speaking over the intercom ascribed to as an electrical failure. The ship lost cabin electrical power shortly after the initial collision. Those on board said the ship suddenly tilted to the port side. Passengers were later advised to put on their life jackets. Half an hour before the abandoned ship order, one crew member was recorded on video telling passengers at a muster station, "We have solved the problems we had and invite everyone to return to their cabs." When the ship later turned around, it began to list approximately 20 degrees to the starboard side, creating problems in launching the lifeboats. And this is a caught on camera piece of what happened on board.
Avanti, praticamente sta uno squarcio, vedo, dentro la corsa si serve. Il passeggero sta facendo sul lancio.
Di salvataggio, ripeto, indossare il giubbotto di salvataggio, ragazzi, alle master station.
Interesting, wasn't it? Rescue. After the grounding, passengers and crew were taken ashore from the ship by lifeboats and helicopters or swam to the island, leaving about 40 people missing. Half of these were later found inside the ship, most of them deceased. In one telephone call from the Coast Guard to Schettino, Captain Gregorio De Falco, a captain from Livorno, repeatedly ordered Schettino to return to the ship from his lifeboat and take charge of the ongoing passenger evacuation. He never did.
Captain Schettino, however, had already returned to the shore where the Coast Guard began demanding him to return to the vessel. He never did.
Io sono Di Falco da Livorno, parlo col comandante. arriva con la sua scioluzza. Sotto la prua della nave, lato dritto, c'è una biscaccina. Lei sale su quella biscaccina e va a bordo della nave. Va a bordo della nave e mi viene a dire, mi riporta quante persone ci sono. Le è chiaro? Io sto registrando questa comunicazione, comandante Schettino. Allora, comandante, le dico una cosa. Parli a voce alta. Allora, la nave adesso, io sono comandante, parli a voce. In questo momento la nave è inclinata. Ho capito. C'è gente ai affondi, c'è gente che sta scendendo dalla biscaccina di prua. Lei quella biscaccina la percorre in senso inverso, sale sulla nave e mi dice quante persone e che cosa hanno a bordo, chiaro? Mi dice se ci sono bambini, donne o persone bisognose di assistenza e mi dice il numero di ciascuna di queste categorie, è chiaro? Guardi Schettino che lei si è salvato forse dal mare, ma io lo porto veramente molto male, faccio passare grandi di guai. Vado a bordo, cazzo! Comandante, per cortesia. Che sta facendo, comandante? Sto qua per coordinare i soccorsi. Che sta coordinando lì? Vado a bordo, ti coordini i soccorsi da bordo. Lei si rifiuta? No, non mi sto rifiutando. Lei si sta rifiutando di andare a bordo, comandante? E mi dica qual è il motivo per cui non ci va. Sto andando perché ci sta l'altra nave che si è fermata. Lei vada a bordo, è un ordine. Ma ti rende conto che è buio e che qua non vediamo niente? E che vuole tornare a casa, Schettino? E buio vuole tornare a casa? Salga sulla prua della nave tramite la biscaccina e mi dica ora.
Very strong, isn't it? He was scared, I think, which is why he didn't go back on board. Evacuation. In the first contact made at 22:12 between Italian port officials and Costa Concordia after the impact on the reef, an unidentified officer on board the cruise ship insisted that she was suffering only from an electrical blackout. A passenger's video recorded at 22:30 showed panicked passengers in life jackets being told by a crew member that everything is under control and that they should return to their cabins. No lifeboat passenger evacuation drill had taken place for the approximately 600 passengers who had just embarked. At 22:30, a patrol boat of the Guardia di Finanza made a call to Costa Concordia, but no answer came. Schettino participated in 3 telephone calls with the cruise line's crisis management officer. At 22:26, Schettino told the port of Livorno's harbour master that the ship had taken water through an opening in the port side and requested a tugboat. Port authorities were not alerted to the collision until 22:42, about an hour after the impact, and the order to evacuate the ship was not given until 22:50. Some passengers jumped into the water to swim to shore, while others, ready to evacuate the vessel, were delayed by crew members up to 45 minutes as they resisted immediately lowering the lifeboats. Some sources report that the ship did not list until 23:15, and therefore if Schettino had given the order to abandon ship, the lifeboats could have been launched earlier, allowing the passengers to reach safely. Staff and Second Captain Robert Boziel is said to have coordinated some of the deck officers much of the evacuation. He began to evacuate the ship before Schettino's order. Many junior officers and crew members who were aware of the severity of the situation also began readying lifeboats and moving passengers from their cabins before the abandoned ship orders were given, a move that has been characterized as a mutiny. Several passengers asserted that the crew did not help or were untrained in launching the lifeboats. 3 people reportedly drowned after jumping overboard, and another 7 were critically injured. 5 helicopters from the Italian Coast Guard, Navy and Air Force took turns airlifting survivors still aboard and ferrying them to safety. At 3:05, 600 passengers were evacuated to the mainland by ferry. At 3:44, the Air Force officer reported that 40 to 50 people were still on board. At 4:46, the evacuation was noted as complete on the port of Livorno's harbour master log. The next day, the survivors were transported to Porto Santo Stefano, where the first Center for Coordination and Assistance was established. Prime Minister Mario Monti announced his intention to propose to the President of the Republic to grant the gold medal for civil valor to the common people of Isola del Giglio and Monte Argenteuil for their conduct during the rescue. Now this guy on the top is Prime Minister Mario Monti. This guy on the bottom is the President of the Republic. And this medal here is the gold medal for civil valor. Search for missing people. Between 14th and 13th January 2012, rescue divers searched within the ship for missing people. Pitch black conditions with large furniture drifting around made the rescue operation hazardous. Divers would find a path into the ship and tie down obstacles such as mattresses before making noise to alert trapped people. On 14th January, divers searched the ship until nightfall. On 16th January, violent waters shifted the ship about 1.5 centimeters or 0.6 inches, interrupting rescue work. Operations resumed about 3 hours later. Throughout the process, rescuers set up explosives to create holes in the ship's hull to reach previously inaccessible areas. Imagine bombs and explosives going off in a half-sunken ship. Securing the wreck site and protecting the environment. Authorities banned all private boats from Giglio Porto and excluded them from a 1 nautical mile and 1,852 meter non-navigation zone around the ship. Poor weather conditions could have caused a spill of oil from the ship. A floating oil barrier was put in place as a precaution. Environment Minister Corrado Clini told the Parliament of Italy that the amount of diesel fuel and lubricating oil on board the Costa Concordia was about the cargo of a small oil tanker. Clini said any oil leakage would be highly toxic for plant and animal life. In the first step to prevent pollution of the shore and assist in the refloat of the ship, her oil and fuel tanks were emptied. Salvage. All operations planned for the wreck, including defueling, were conducted jointly by Costa Cruises and the Concordia Emergency Commissioner's Office. Preparatory work consisted of building an underwater metal platform and artificial seabed made of sand and cement on the downhill side of the wreck, and welding sponsoons to the side of the ship above the surface. Once this was completed, the ship was pulled upright by cables over the course of 2 days and settled on the platform in a method called carbuncling. And this is how it worked.
And on September 16, 2013, the Costa Concordia was turned upright, resting on the underwater platform.
Genius, isn't it? Site remediation. After the wreck of Costa Concordia was towed away, Costa Crociere put Mycopedi in charge of the salvage site remediation. This project is also known as Phase WP9. Initially, $85 million was assigned to the project, which was to start at the end of 2014 and take about 15 months for its completion. The main activities included ocean floor cleaning, anchor block removal, rod bag removal, and platform removal. The project continued into May 2018. The entities involved regularly publish details of the activity. Refloating and removal. Following the conclusion of the righting operation, the ship was kept on a platform while further inspections were made and the starboard sponsoons attached. On 10th October 2013, $30 million option was taken with Dockwise for the use of the world's largest semi-submersible heavy-lift vessel, Dockwise Vanguard, to transport Costa Concordia as an alternative to conventional towing, but the Concordia was instead refloated and towed to Genoa in July 2014. On 14th July 2014, salvage operators refloated Costa Concordia off its submerged platform and towed the ship laterally a short distance away from the coast. As of 20th July 2014, the ship had refloated 7.5 meters from its supporting platform, with 6.3 meters remaining. On 23rd July 2014, Costa Concordia began her final journey to the port of Genoa, and it went a bit like this.
The plan was to place a steel structure under the Concordia and turn it upright. Massive buoyancy tanks were welded to the ship's port side, and on September 16, 2013, the Costa Concordia was turned upright, resting on the underwater platform. Turning the vessel upright showed just how unbelievably heavy the ship was as it rested on its side, completely crushing sections of the ship's steel balconies. Uprighting the vessel also allowed pictures to be taken inside, showcasing the true extent of the damage. It's so surreal to see a modern cruise ship have its interior slowly decay from being abandoned and untouched. Buoyancy tanks were fitted to the ship's other side, the starboard side, and the Concordia was slowly lifted off its platform, now freely floating. And on July 14, the vessel was towed on its final voyage to the Italian port of Genoa, where the ship was completely
gutted. Scrapping. On 27 July 2014, Costa Concordia arrived in Genoa, where it was moored against a wharf that had been specially prepared to receive the vessel for dismantling. On 11 May 2015, Costa Concordia was moved to another location within the port of Genoa to ease the access of road vehicles which carried the waste from the wreck. By January 2017, most of Costa Concordia had been completely dismantled and scrapped in Genoa, with all metal being recycled where possible. Final scrapping of the ship was completed in July 2017 and went a bit like this.
Scrapping began by cutting sections of the ship apart, and by July of 2017, the Costa Concordia had been completely dismantled and sold for scrap. The total cost of the salvage operation was $1.2 billion.
$1.2 billion is quite high. Loss and compensation. On 27 January 2012, Costa posted on its website the compensation package offered to uninjured passengers. The compensation comprises a payment of £11,000 per person to compensate for all damages, including loss of baggage and property, psychological distress, and loss of enjoyment of the cruise, and reimbursement for a range of other costs and losses, including reimbursement for the value of the cruise, for all air and bus travel costs included in the cruise package, for all travel expenses to return home, for all medical expenses arising from the event, and for all expenses incurred on board during the rescue. And for the Carnival Corporation, the event took like this.
The Carnival Corporation certainly felt the financial impact of the disaster. In their 2012 annual report, they claimed that as a direct result of the Costa Concordia incident, the company had lost $410 million in declining revenue. Though 2012 was not a great year for Carnival at all, with the addition of the Carnival Triumph Power Film in the same year. Carnival offered each of the Concordia survivors $13,000, which included the refund of their cruise.
$13,000 is quite a lot. Investigations. Francesco Schettino, who had worked for Costa Cruises for 11 years, and First Officer Kiro Ambrosio were arrested. The captain was detained on suspicion of manslaughter and for violations of the Italian Penal Code and Code of Navigation on 3 specifications. Of his having caused shipwreck owing to imprudence, negligence and incompetence, resulting in deaths, having abandoned about 300 people, unable to fend for themselves, and not having been the last to leave a shipwreck. They were questioned on 14th January, and well, this is what happened.
Following the disaster, the search to find who was responsible concluded with 6 arrests and prosecutions. Several of the Concordia's first officers were given jail sentences, most being under 2 years. Costa Cruise Line's crisis director, who Captain Schettino had been contacting during the event, had been given the longest sentence of the 5, with 2 years and 10 months. As for Captain Francesco Schettino himself, well, his story was, well, something to say the least. He claimed that during the ordeal, he had been coordinating the rescue when he had slipped and stumbled into a lifeboat due to the listing of the ship. A video later emerged of what appeared to be Captain Schettino calmly standing at the railing on deck waiting to board the lifeboat, though he claimed that this was not him.
And it's very, very easy to see why. Honours and Memorial. In September 2012, Lloyd's of London awarded the title of Seafarers of the Year, recognizing the best professional sailing and ship to the Costa Concordia crew for their exemplary behavior during the shipwreck, which saved most of the ship's passengers. In January 2013, the municipalities of Isola del Giglio and Monte Argentario were decorated with the highest Italian civil award, the Gold Medal of Civil Merit, granted by the President of the Republic for the commitment of citizens, administrators, and local institutions in the rescue of the survivors of the ship Costa Concordia. Some pictures of the ship are given here, and it's very easy to see from these pictures the whole story of the liner. The liner was commissioned and it sailed the seas gloriously, but then it hit the rock that's seen here and capsized and listed till it came into that kind of position. People were evacuated, and then the ship was brought back up, which showed the horrible incident and this construction run, so it was deemed unfit and finally scrapped. The entire life of the ship in a few pictures. So it's time for credits now. Now all the pictures in this video have been taken from Wikipedia. All of the information has been taken from Wikipedia as well. And the pictures have been taken from Google. The information has been taken from Wikipedia. And all the videos I've shown have been taken from another YouTube video about the Costa Concordia disaster by the YouTube channel Bright Sun Films. There's a picture down there, you can see it. I recommend you go and check out this video too if you want more information on the wreck. So, thanks for watching everybody. Please like and share the video. Feel free to comment down below on how the video was and to suggest for more topics for me to cover. And please to subscribe. So that's it for now. I'll meet you in the next video. So stay home, stay safe, and have a good day. Bye.